Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming Elder Scrolls stuff that I saw at the Chip Theory media weekend. And before we get around to talking about the gameplay, there are a bunch of disclaimers in the front of this. So, first of all, I work at Leader Games. I'm across town from Chip Theory, but I would say I'm probably a friend of the studio at this point. I go visit them all the time. I'm good friends with the people who work on Elder Scrolls. I have had financial relationships with Chip Theory because they paid me to make tutorials and edit rulebooks with them. My sword is in the corner in this shot. So know that when you hear me talk about chip theory, you are talking to like a fangirl who has personal relationships with a good number of chip theory employees. However, I also feel like I have to speak up about these expansions because they're actually good. So, a lot of people who are at the creator weekend were really excited by chip theory's office, which is legitimately freaking awesome. We had a really good time. It was like very glitzy as a weekend. But if you're going to be talking about Elder Scrolls and whether you should back it, then I think what you probably actually want to know is, were the expansions good? And I have good news for you on that front because I really enjoyed the Elder Scrolls material that I played at Chip Theory Weekend. So the way that they kind of split us up was that they kind of had us go in stations. And so everybody played a clash, a delve, and like a dungeon, and you got to try different character combinations that they'd kind of set up for you at various levels that were meant to show off the new stuff so that you could try some of the new abilities. So each of us, we played in pairs. So I got to play with Tim Chuan. He was a delight, by the way. So we got to like play together through a couple of different scenarios. And I really enjoyed what I got a taste of. And so I want to remember and talk through that for this video. So the first scenario that Tim and I played together was a delve, and one of us got to be a werewolf berserker, and fortunately that was me because I actually had a blast. And then I don't remember exactly what Tim had, but he had some really really cool like magical powers, including the like have the how they have soul gems and stuff in Skyrim. So he basically had the ability to like kill enemies and trap their souls and power that. So that's one of the new things that's coming in the expansion. So if you know me, you know that I usually prefer kind of stealth archer type characters. I like to work from a distance. I enjoy spatial puzzles. So playing something super aggressive like a werewolf berserker was not really on my preferred bingo card for the day. However, I ended up being really glad that I did it because it was really, really fun. So the werewolf dice are like separate dice that you roll to turn yourself into a werewolf, and then it limits the other skills you can use. Like you can't in werewolf form do a complex spell. So you have to just like get in there and be wolfy. And I really, really enjoyed actually the process of figuring out when I wanted to be a werewolf, when I should change out of being a werewolf, how to make the most of my werewolf dice because they combined in ways that interacted with, my fatigue and with my health that I thought were really interesting. And so there was like a lot to crunch on there. And I would love actually to play a werewolf again because it gave me something to think about in terms of not just my battle position, which is a normal part of Elder Scrolls if you've already played it, but also like what bodily form I wanted to be in. And so I thought that was really exciting. The other thing I loved in combination with it was the sort of berserker role. It was really funny because if I got hurt at the start of every round, I had to start rolling a die and then resolving like one of my special powers that comes with that class for free. And so sometimes I would roll and get something really sick and get to do something amazing. And then sometimes I would like maybe hurt myself a little bit or do something that wasn't ideal to the moment because I was like in a rage. And I guess some people would find that random, but I thought it was super thematic and that was funny and it really added to like the story vibes of playing the game. So I got a real kick out of the werewolf and berserker stuff. So the werewolf skill line, the berserker class. And then I also, on the next thing, got to play something very cool, which was there's finally an assassin skill line. So when we played the Clash, Tim got to be a vampire, and that was actually really, really cool. So he had like bad status dice that he had to get rid of by drinking blood. but the vampire dice were like really neat, and you could like bite people and do things to them in creepy vampiric ways that really made sense. It was very neat. But it's like a skill line, and so it's something that you have to like develop a skill in on your character mat, like alongside other skills, just like the werewolf. And so I thought it was interesting to have it treated that way, because it means that you can decide how much you want to build into that or not. And then, it gives you all this dice to explore. But I got to be, of course, a Khajiit archer in that game. That was fantastic. And I got to have the assassin skill line. And so I really, really liked getting to be an assassin. It was not easy necessarily. Like if you're playing the game for the first time, you wanted to play some like more basic classes, just go be a warrior or something, or just go be an archer if you're me. But the assassinating was really cool because it could play with whether or not you were in stealth. You could mark enemies on the board, and then depending on what you rolled after you had kind of spent some early assassin dice and energy on who you wanted to target, you could do these really cool spatial puzzles where you could move certain amounts of space and do certain amounts of damage. And it was really brutal. Like, the clash was hard, but I actually managed to get us out of it in the end because I had that really amazing like assassin ability set up correctly, and it really gave me the sense that I had the power to make something really cool happen in the game. And that is what I liked the best. So I would absolutely play that skill line again. I intend to get the expansion material and actively seek it out just so I can do it some more. Andrew Santoro, the media guy, is the one who designed the line, and he did great. Fantastic work, Andrew. And then in the dungeon, that thing was hard. We played a really, really, really difficult dungeon. And we got like really cool stuff. I actually don't remember what Tim had because I was so focused and happy with what I had, which was this Adrix spear. So I had a spear that let me do damage like in a straight line across long distances if I set it up correctly. That, allowed me to kind of be stabby but at more range, and I really, really liked it. And then in addition to that, I had something called storm calling that at first I didn't know how to use, but it saved our asses at the end of the battle, because I was able to use it to do damage to a lot of enemies that were surrounding me. And I really needed to be able to do that because like we literally won on the last turn with one of us alive, on the last HP, just trying to make it to the top of our turn so that we could win the dungeon scenario. And so it was super dramatic. There was a lot to do, and I really felt interested in the puzzle that the game was offering me, in what kinds of results of my dice that I could work with. I was extremely pleased with what they've been doing. And, instead of just giving an expansion, like they've really brought it in terms of new lines to kind of crunch through and think about. And that made me super happy. And the new classes are also very, very cool. So if you like, okay, here's how I'm going to put this. Elder Scrolls is a game that I've played a lot over the last couple months. I just like to play it actually, and I just gave myself free reign to do so. It is a game that is messy sometimes. I still forget things like advancing the round marker, or there's a lot of sort of upkeep, and if you're not being really strict because you just got really into what you were doing, it is easy to skip steps in this game. I don't care because I'm having a good time, and I just think that's the point. Um, but it is a game that has a high learning curve. It's not that bad, but there's things to keep track of. It's a game that does have a lot of stuff going on where you have to really read all of the text and think for a while about how it interacts. It's a game that can take a long time to play, but I feel like the rewards are there if you're willing to sink in and really learn how to use what the game is giving you. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from using your skills in a smart way to get yourself out of a pinch. And so I felt like Elder Scrolls was already delivering on that. I've been having a good time with the game. I really like the new stuff, genuinely. I think it's maybe more fun than a lot of the old stuff. The Chip Theory as a company, like they're funny. They have a lot of humor in their games. They have a lot of flavor in their games, and they clearly were allowed to like lean into that a lot for this expansion. And that's something that I personally appreciate as a chip theory gamer who wants to play chip theory games. So that was very encouraging. Um, and I just, if you already liked Elder Scrolls or you're willing to make the investment in learning it, the new stuff is an actual improvement on a lot of the stuff that was in the previous box from what I can tell, because it's more exciting and it's crunchier, and it just offers a lot to think with. So they really like showed out in terms of new things that feel different from the old things that were already in the box. So that is my take on the Elder Scrolls stuff. If you have the appetite for chip theory Elder Scrolls, then this expansion is going to deliver more of what you really, really like. If you are a new player and you're getting into the game for the first time, you will eventually like the expansion stuff, but definitely play the base classes and skill lines for a little bit first, because the ones that are in the expansion are weirder. They are a little more like thematic, but also it'll make you feel like you have less control sometimes, I think. But when you do get it set up correctly, holy crap, is good. So that is where I'm at on the Elder Scrolls expansions. And hopefully that helps y'all figure out what you want as they have a new campaign coming out soon. So thank you so much for watching. Go play a game, preferably a solo game. And if you've got Elder Scrolls, you should go play it now so you can get excited for the next batch of material. All right, happy gaming, everybody.